Hey guys, what's up? It's Pat here. I have a quick question for you. Actually, have you ever been the new guy or girl, the new person at school, or maybe the new employee at work?
Who's the new guy?
Actually, let's go back in here really quick. It's difficult, right? Because it's very obvious that you're new there, you're working your way around, you're getting a feel for the place. It's brand new to you. And it's very obvious for everybody else that you're there for the first time. Now at school, it's a little bit difficult because obviously there's peer pressure. At that age, you just want to fit in, right? At work, it's a little bit easier because you have your boss and your other employees who want to help you become a part of the team.
I don't know how well he's fitting in here.
But when it comes to entrepreneurship, if you are perceived as being brand new, you're not going to get paid attention to. And in this video, I'm going to give you 7 tips to help make sure that you as a newbie entrepreneur don't look like a newbie entrepreneur.
I can always spot a newbie.
And hey, really quick, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do that, because right now what I'm going to do is actually shut down here in the video studio. I'm going to head home. We're going to go over these 7 tips at my home office. Hey, welcome to my home office, also known as the Pat Cave. Now, before I go on and tell you about the 7 ways not to look like a newbie entrepreneur, I need to tell you how being new actually gives you a slight advantage. Firstly, a lot of new entrepreneurs like to tell themselves, wow, I'm too late to do this, or there's so many competitors out there, I should move on to something else. But that's actually your competitive advantage. Why? Because you're better able to bring a fresh and new perspective to that space. By coming in later, you're actually able to map out what's already happening in that space so you can provide something new and create a position that makes sense to serve that market where they are being underserved. And I want to give you a quick exercise to help you manage how to do this, and it's called creating your market map. And to create your market map, something I teach in my book, Will It Fly, you're gonna discover your target market's 3 Ps so that you can find your 4th P. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. First, you're gonna find all the places where your target market exists. And literally, you wanna create a spreadsheet to keep track of this. So the first thing is the places. The blogs, communities, forums, podcasts, video channels, etc., communities online and offline. Write all of those down. Next, who are the people in that space who have already earned the trust of that target audience? These are the influencers, the authors, the podcast hosts, the owners of those websites and other places, the admins of those groups. And then finally, you want to find the products that are out there that are already being offered to that target market, and keep track of the prices too. You know, as they say, it's really important to stand out of the crowd, but how do you know how to stand out if you don't know what's in the crowd? That's the whole purpose of this exercise here. And through this exercise, you can find your 4th and final P, which is your position, so that you can create something that's new and fresh for that target audience that they haven't seen yet. In this spreadsheet that you created, it also becomes an important asset to use as you grow and scale your business. For example, now you have a list of all the places where you should also be mentioned. You have a list of all the people who you should be building a relationship with, or at least following and understanding how they are influencing that market already. And you have a list of the products out there, so you can potentially maybe even become an affiliate for some of those products, or use that to do competitive research, or at least gauge how much people are paying and for what. Now, your second competitive advantage as a newbie is that you're able to build stronger relationships with your audience faster. You know, sometimes it actually pays off to be somewhat small. It didn't pay off for me in high school when I was 4'11" my senior year, but that's a different story. By starting out small, you have the bandwidth, you have the time, and the ability to actually reach out and have personal connections with people, something that big brands, even brands like myself, can't necessarily do all the time. So go above and beyond to reply to those comments and those emails in a very personal way so that you can begin to build those raving fan bases much sooner. And your third and final advantage as a newbie entrepreneur is this: you have hardly anything to lose. You don't risk as much failure as those who are already in that space. Therefore, you are able to take the bigger and bolder and different actions to stand out. Cool? Cool. All right, let's move on to the 7 tips to help you not look like a newbie entrepreneur. Tip number 1, don't tell anybody you are a brand new entrepreneur. Now, this isn't lying, but you don't want to tell a person up front that you are brand new. It's very similar to, I don't know if you've ever seen a presentation before where the person goes up on stage and they say, oh, this is my first time speaking ever.
You know, I've been reading a lot about presenting in public speaking. This is my first presentation. This is my first presentation. This is my first presentation.
Or they might say something like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to actually finish this presentation, so I'm just gonna give you what I have. Never ever do that. Don't start off by telling a person what's wrong. You wanna start off by blowing their minds, giving them value, generating content that actually matters to them, helping them solve their problems, so that when they actually find out that you are a brand new entrepreneur, they're gonna be blown away and wanna stick with you. All right, tip number 2, don't pretend to know what you don't know. And this, of course, has many facets to it, right? Like, what you portray to your audience. When you pretend to be an expert in something that you are not, it's eventually going to surface that you either A, don't have a lot of information about this thing, or B, just making things up in general. Well, you're going to lose that trust with your audience. It's always best to take that authentic and honest approach about what you know and also what you don't know. The other part of this is being honest with yourself. This is very common for newbie entrepreneurs, especially when they begin to tinker with their websites, for example. They try to become a JavaScript and CSS website expert, and they get to a point where they're just doing so much of that and they're not even really building their businesses. So you need to know that there's a point at which you have to be satisfied with what you've created and then move on. You're not a website expert, you're not an SEO expert. Yes, there are fundamentals that you need to have in place, but you need to eventually move on or find somebody else who is an expert to do those things. Because when you try to wear all the hats in your business as an entrepreneur, you're gonna fall flat and only do a half great job at each of those things, if that. Now, tip number 3, don't try to be like somebody else. Now, hopefully you have common sense and you don't copy somebody, literally copy them. Plagiarism, that's disgusting, don't do that. But what I'm talking about is, yes, getting inspiration from others and getting motivated by what other people are doing, but then just trying to create something that's exactly the same as what they do. If you do that, then, well, why would people pay attention to you? You need to understand what it is about you that makes you unique. Your information, your personality, your experiences, all those kinds of things should be incorporated into what it is that you're doing or teaching online. And even when it comes to the look of a website, you shouldn't make it look exactly the same as others either. Yes, again, take what you know is working for others and make it your own, but do not copy, do not plagiarize, do not just rip people off. And hopefully that just is obvious, right? All right, tip number 4, don't be shy. When I think about all the most amazing things that have happened in my business, it's been a result of the relationships that I've built. So you, as an introvert or a shy person, if that is you, you need to get out of that comfort zone and make things happen, build relationships, talk to people online and especially offline. One of the best ways to grow your online business is to actually get offline and meet people, build relationships. Those turn into amazing opportunities. And you never know, you might be one relationship away, one connection away from something amazing happening to help you grow and scale your business. This is coming from somebody who was extremely shy when I started out. I actually wanted to do everything my own. I was like, hey, I'm doing business online. This is perfect. I don't actually need to talk to anybody. But again, like I said, once I finally started to make those connections, new opportunities presented themselves to me. So put yourself out there, build those important relationships, and don't be shy, because that's how you fly. Why would I say that? That's weird. All right, tip number 5, and this may sound obvious, but just a reminder, don't use defaults. If you're signing up for social media profiles or even building a website and you stick with the default thing that you're given, the default profile image or the default website, you're automatically telling a person that you are brand new to this. So don't stick with the defaults. Spend a little bit of time putting your profile image up there, customizing your backgrounds or creating a new website. That's important. But, and this goes to tip number 6, don't spend a ton of time worrying about how things look. Although it's important to not use the defaults, it's also important to not waste and spend all your time on customizing your stuff. This is an all too common error with new entrepreneurs, is you spend so much time building and customizing your website or creating those logos, building your business cards, all those kinds of things that are, yeah, kind of important at some point, but what's really important at the start is you actually build your business, you create relationships, you actually solve people's problems. That's more important. Yes, you don't want the default, but you also don't need the perfect website, because guess what? That doesn't exist, and you need to just pick something and move on. That's the best tip I can give you as a newbie entrepreneur, is just, hey, don't go default, but pick something and then move on. You can always customize and perfect those things later. All right, and finally, tip number 7, and this is what really separates the newbies from the not newbies, and that is to keep going. Persist. Do not give up. When you're a brand new entrepreneur, you're gonna be faced with several different challenges, each that are gonna try and stop you from moving forward. But guess what? That's just a part of the process of being an entrepreneur. You have to fail, you have to make mistakes, and you shouldn't let them stop you. Each one of those challenges is like the universe testing you to see if this is actually something that you really want to do. And there are 2 things I want to give you that can help you through those tough times to help you persist and win. First, you always want to remember why you're doing this in the first place. It can be very easy to forget, especially when you're deep down in the trenches of building and scaling your business. But when you have that why behind you driving you, it'll always push you to move forward, especially when you want to give up. And secondly, I want you to be reminded that a business is not just about you. It's about, and even more importantly, those who you are serving. I want you to think about the consequences of actually what would happen if you didn't actually move forward. Who out there would not benefit from what it is that you're creating here? It was Les Brown who said this: "The graveyard is the richest place on earth, because it is here that you will find all the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled, the books that were never written, the songs that were never sung, the inventions that were never shared, the cures that were never discovered, all because someone was too afraid to take that first step, keep with the problem, or determine to carry out their dream. You have a dream. You can solve people's problems. Don't take those to the graveyard. Go out there, take action, and make it work. And hey, we all started from the ground up. And like I said earlier, you have an advantage by starting now. Now, before you go, please click to subscribe to the channel and make sure you click on that bell icon too to get notified when new videos come out, because if you comment within an hour, you are eligible to win an SPI pin. And finally, I want to ask you a quick question, and I want to see your response in the comments. It's actually going to be really helpful for everybody, I think. And that is, what is your biggest business pet peeve? When it comes to businesses that you come across, what's something that happens that just turns you completely off and in the other direction? I'm very curious to see what the community has to say, so thank you so much. Looking forward to reading your answers. I appreciate you, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Cheers. See you in the next video. This is just a light. It's called the ice light. I use it for backlight in the background. Oh my gosh.